Dave, is this what you've come to expect when it comes to, I guess, this just rivalry matchup with, I guess, divisional rivalry matchup?
I think so. It's there's a lot of familiarity. I think Torrey does a fantastic job with their club and how they play the game. It's a tough, gritty team, and so you got to strap in every time you play those guys, and they don't quit, we don't quit, and it was good to see us persevere tonight.
There's obviously a lot of just kind of up and down in this one, but with that ninth inning, what does it say about your team and just how they showed so much fight there?
It says a lot. Freddie gets that block base hit, and then Kike has a big hit. It just kind of kept going. Muncy had a big hit right there, Pages, and it was just really fun to watch us just continue to fight. And obviously, we didn't pitch well tonight, but I thought the defense was sound. There was no quit in our ball club, and potentially losing the first 2 games of the series, now having a chance to win Game 3 with Gonsolin tomorrow, we're in a pretty good spot. I wasn't. I just felt that the offense did enough to win the game at that point in time, and to not pitch well, it's frustrating because that just kind of puts other guys in the game, and you're trying to win ensuing games as well. And so I just feel that we're better than we've pitched, and fortunately our offense picked us up tonight.
Everything happened fast, didn't it?
It did. It did, and we just were ready to hit, and we've seen Ginkel a lot over the years, and we just took some good at bats.
You see that emotion showing after that swing? Is that just emotion from coming through? Is that emotion from the type of game, the atmosphere? Like what sort of is behind that?
I think all of the above. It's. You have a game and you feel good about it. You're playing a division rival. They're starting to gain momentum in the series, and we fight our way back, and we take the lead with a big homer, and he sees his teammates fighting, and guys trying to keep us in the ball game. So that was kind of the climax of that moment, and it's good to see him show emotion like that. It was great.
Was your pitching coach?
Yeah, he was, and the thing is that all the guys do. They're doing their best, and Eric was doing his best. But there was some pitches that swung counts, and certainly that Luis Garcia at bat to Suarez, and that changed that inning, the scoreboard, and so it gets emotional, all of us, and so obviously it's nothing personal, and you can't argue balls and strikes, and Eric did what he's supposed to do.
With everything that you've seen Shoei do in the 2 years you've had him, does anything cease to amaze you anymore?
No, he's between him and Barry Bonds, that's the 2 best players I've ever seen. I play with Barry, but what Shohei does in the clutch, I've never seen anything like what he does in the clutch.
Did you go out to talk to him after Mark got ejected, and kind of what was
I did. I was trying to diffuse it a little bit, and I just wanted to kind of support Mark, but understand where Eric was coming from.
When you have all that happen in one game, does it feel like more than just one win on a random night in May to be able to pull that out?
It does. I think that the series is level now, and as opposed to being down 0-2 in the series, and those guys are feeling really good with Burns going tomorrow. So I think our bullpen is in a really good spot, considering kind of how the game went, to win the next 2 games. So it was a big emotional game.
What are you seeing from Roki tonight?
I just felt tonight he was laboring from the outset. You can tell by facing 20 hitters and not 1 strikeout. Guys are taking really good swings. He didn't have tonight to put guys away. And, so I think at that point in time, there's a point where I feel that we got to make a change, and, Anthony's got to come in and do his job. And that's part of it. And he didn't do his job tonight. So, but as far as Roki, I just felt that it wasn't a rest situation. I just don't think that he was particularly sharp tonight, and commanding the fastball, the split, all that stuff. So, hopefully he wasn't too taxed tonight, and his next start, he'll be raring to go.
How do you kind of work on and getting more swing and miss, which was obviously lacking tonight? Like, what would you kind of point to as like the source?
I don't know. I think that it's different. It's whether it's the miss with the fastball in certain counts, and it's all dependent on the sequencing and how you get to 2 strikes. And so he got to a lot of 2-strike counts, and and one classic case was the 0-2 to 4-2 to Marte, in the 5th inning. And so you get count leverage, and you got to be able to kind of wipe guys out when you get count leverage like that. And just tonight, he just
In this game, and specifically looking at that 9th inning, it was clear you all just kind of had a refusal to lose. What does a comeback in a battle like that inning say about this group?
It says a lot, It's a tough game to get up that much, lose that lead, and then, their closer comes in the game. It's just a tough job, and a lot of really good at-bats string together. It was just really fun to watch, really fun to be a part of it.
Just for you personally, just how rewarding was it just kind of come in the clutch in a moment like that?
It was huge. In that situation, my only job is to try to get a ball on the ground to the right side, move the runner to third, and not try to do too much with it. And so for me, got a ground ball over there and got rewarded for it. And so it was, it was fun.
What does a game like that feel like, just considering obviously kind of understanding what that team is over there and kind of the back and forth nature of everything?
Yeah, it was a tough game. It's that's something that we try to preach in this clubhouse, is you can't ride the emotion too much. You got to try to find a way to stay steady. And, I felt like we did a pretty good job of that this game. Got up big. They brought in a guy out of the pen who did a really, really good job. He was, throwing really good stuff from what I could see. And then, they took the lead, unfortunately, but we never gave up and battled back down there at the end.
When Shohei steps in the 9th, are you already planning the party?
Yeah. No. You guys have heard me say it how many times. Show keeps getting put in these spots that you expect the incredible, and he rarely disappoints, and that was no different there.
Obviously, it's one game, but how energizing can playing a game like that, winning a game like that be, especially when you're going through a long season and trying to, not think too much big picture. And that's just kind of put a jolt into the year a little bit.
Yeah, it can, and it's again, like I was just saying, we try to preach steadiness in this clubhouse. Don't let the highs get too high, don't let the lows get too low, and this game is obviously a big win, and it can provide a lot of energy for us, but we got to find a way to maintain just steadiness throughout, and obviously you try to carry a little momentum over from the night before, and that's what we're going to do tomorrow.
Some of the earlier games this season where kind of no matter what happened earlier winnings, you're just finding ways to come out on top?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of guys not trying to do too much and stand within themselves and just putting together a lot of really good at-bats.
Here's what's ahead.
Hey, Dodgers Nation. What's up? It's Victor here with the latest Los Angeles Dodgers news, and today we're diving into a trade idea that's got everyone buzzing, sending Rafaela to the Dodgers in exchange for none other than Max Muncy. Yeah, you heard that right. But is it realistic? Is it smart? Let's break it down, piece by piece. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that like button, and let's get into it. Alright, so here's the deal. The Boston Red Sox have a logjam in their outfield, and it's all thanks to a kid named Roman Anthony. The guy's 20 years old, the #1 prospect in all of baseball, and he's knocking on the door of the big leagues. But that means someone's got to sit, and right now, the odd man out could be sitting Rafaela. Now, Rafaela is just 24, an absolute stud defensively, but his bat hasn't fully developed in over 200 big league games. But here's the kicker, he's still got trade value, and that's where the Dodgers come in. So, what's the proposal? According to John Vankin from Newsweek, the Red Sox could consider sending Rafaela to LA in exchange for Max Muncy. Now, let me just say, I know Muncy hasn't exactly been lighting it up at the plate this season. He's hitting just .176 with a .586 OPS. He hasn't hit a homer in 28 games and has been brutal defensively at third base. But trading him for Rafaela? That's a hard one to wrap my head around. Look, Muncy is a two-time All-Star. Yeah, he's slumping, but this is a guy who's proven he can rake when he's right. Plus, he's got experience at first base, and that's where the Red Sox really need help after losing Tristan Casas for the season. Van Kent even points out that Muncy could be a natural fit there, and it would only cost Boston the remaining $14.5 million on his contract. But here's where things get tricky for the Dodgers. If we're talking about adding Rafaela, are we really sure he's the answer? Sure, he's a defensive wizard, but his offensive numbers? Not great. And with Teoscar Hernandez hurt and Conforto struggling, are we really in a position to take a chance on a guy who hasn't proven he can hit consistently at the big league level? And let's not forget, this trade would only make sense if the Dodgers were looking to go all in on defense while sacrificing some offensive firepower. Is that the move we want to make in the middle of a championship window? Or would it be better to hold on to Muncy, hope he finds his swing, and maybe target a more impactful bat at the deadline? So, what do you think, Dodgers fans? Would you pull the trigger on a Muncy for Rafaela swap? Or is this just another trade idea that sounds better on paper than it would on the field? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, smash that like button, and as always, go Dodgers!